If you're producing content online, there's one thing you really need to understand. Being a creator and building a personal brand are not the same thing. And if you confuse this, you could be leaving thousands of dollars on the table and wasting years of effort going down the wrong path. And the problem is that when people start creating content, they think that they're automatically building their personal brand, and that's not the case. You can be a successful content creator and have zero brand image or identity with any of your viewers. I know this because this is exactly how I started. When I first started, I just started posting content. I started posting photos, videos of my travel, and through that, I was able to get a decent audience. I got to about 20,000 followers of people who were just interested in my photography. But then somewhere along the line, I decided that I wanted to do more. And when I made that decision, I realized that I had to backpedal because I had not built the personal brand that I thought I had. Nobody actually gave a shit about Gabe. They only cared about my photos. And then once I started talking about my personal stories, everybody got quiet. And the first time that I dropped an offer, nobody really gave a shit. And so today I just want to answer a question that I couldn't find a good answer to online. And that is, what is the difference between a creator and a personal brand? And so recently, out of curiosity, I just got on YouTube and I said, content creator versus personal brand. And for the first time in a very long time, I wasn't able to find a great video on that. So I decided to make one based off my findings and how to answer that question exactly today. And so let's start with creators. A creator's primary goal is to make content that gets views, engagement, and attention. And the simplest way to think about it is that creators are focused on what is going to get the most views. They're going to focus on the algorithm, what's trending, what clicks can they get. They're going to focus on volume, posting consistently, sometimes daily or even multiple times a day. They're focused on entertainment or education or whatever is going to keep other people watching. And they are platform dependent. So all of their success comes from whatever platform that they are trying to own: Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. And therefore, they're never trying to own their own audience. And a creator's business model is usually centered more around ad revenue, sponsorships, or brand deals. They need actual views to make their money. The more views, the more income that they get because they're working with other brands who just want to see more. A content creator focuses specifically on creating content and getting paid for that content based on their performance. And for that reason, there are obvious problems with this format. They are really tied to the platform. If one week their content is performing great, but the next week they're in Instagram jail, there's nothing that they can do about that. If a social media platform shuts down, which didn't happen that long ago, though it came back, they lose all of their progress and everything that they've done. And so obviously there are huge problems with this, and this is kind of the creator trap. You are tied to your brand deal. If the company no longer wants to work with you, you lose your income. If the algorithm stops performing in your favor, you also start losing income. And you do not own your audience. Therefore, if something happens to the platform, say YouTube changing its monetization rules, there's nothing you can do other than lose all of your income based off the rules that they implement. And because of this format, there is a bit of a creator trap. You are really tied to the companies that you work with. You don't own your audience, so if something happens to the platform, you could completely lose everything that you've built. TikTok shutting down, YouTube changing its monetization policies, all of that directly affects them overnight. So you have a lot less stability when it comes to just being a content creator and bouncing between brand deals and trying to just stay up with the latest trends. Also, creators are competing with everyone. Everybody who's trying to go viral is going against creators because they are not trying to build a connection with their audience. They are just fighting for views. Everybody else on social media is trying to go viral. They're not focused on becoming a one of one or somebody who's actually building a connection with their audience because all they care about is chasing views and brand deals. But those viewers only care about being entertained in small 30-second blimps. And this is why it's so important to focus on building your personal brand. Because a personal brand is not about getting the most views. It's about building trust, authority, and recognition in a specific area. It's really about becoming a one of one and being the most authentic version of yourself that makes you stand out the most. Personal brands are focused on identity, who you are and what you stand for, your expertise or authority, whatever problem you can help them solve, building trust and deep relationships with your audience, and building platform independence, which allows you to own your audience. And so to put it in the simplest terms, a personal brand is somebody who's content as the tool, not as the actual product. And so someone with a strong personal brand might actually post less frequently because they're posting way more strategically. They're not opening their Instagram and seeing whatever's trending. They are thinking about exactly what's going to move the needle with their audience. What's going to build the most trust? What's going to make them look the most authentic? What is going to make them connect the most with their audience so that audience not only wants to buy from them, but just becomes a true fan. Because the number one thing that you can do to push any offer is to turn followers into fans. And the beauty of building a personal brand is that you don't need to focus on going viral. You don't need to focus on getting 1 million followers. You just need to focus on connecting with the right followers and deepening the connection as much as you can. 1,000 true fans is so much better than 100,000 people who don't know anything about you and don't care. And so just a quick recap, a creator's goal is to maximize reach and views. The content is focused on entertaining or educating. Their monetization path is through ads, sponsorships, or brand deals. Their audience is wide but much more shallow. And their sustainability requires constant content. On the other hand, the personal brand's goals are to build trust and authority in a niche. The content is more strategic and designed to build expertise or authority. The monetization is more focused around services, products, courses, consulting, speaking. The audience is smaller but much more deeply engaged. And the sustainability really compounds over time because they're thinking more strategically. So the difference is a creator needs you to watch and a personal brand needs to build trust. And trust is what sells products. Alex Hormozi just had $1 million day selling his book, not because he had the most followers, but because he was able to build so much trust with his previous books and all of his content that he's consistently producing. And so my honest take on this is that if you love producing content, you don't care about building outside of the platforms. You just want to live inside a platform and own that platform and really run everything kind of like a media agency, then being a content creator is perfect for you. On the other hand, if you want to build a personal brand that is more involved around selling an offer, packaging knowledge that you have and putting it into a content system that pushes that, then you definitely need to go the path of a personal brand. But the sweet spot is actually finding a hybrid between the two. And you'll see that the most successful creators in the space have done that. You look at Alex Hormozi, Ali Abdaal, these people have produced cinematic personal brands that bring you along into the adventure and also look just like a content creator from a daily output perspective. And so while they're posting every day, they're not just posting for views, they're posting and building trust at scale. And then so how to build both. And so if your goal is to find that sweet spot, that hybrid, then all you need to do is focus on implementing the personal brand identity with the creator strategy. And the first step of doing that is just getting crystal clear on your avatar. You need to know exactly who you're speaking to so you can produce the content strategy that will connect the most with them. Next, you'll define your positioning and understand exactly what is your unique angle. Why would somebody choose you over the next person? And how can you become a one of one? And that's really all that a brand is. It's finding all these different areas, these different pillars, and combining them into something that you can put behind your name. Next, you just need to find a way to create content consistently that shows your authority. You need to show people that you know exactly what you're talking about in the most authentic way. Because we are in a trust recession, everybody's selling something, you need to find a way to show up and show the authority without coming off as too cocky. And the best way to do this is by giving value unconditionally, showing as much value as you can, helping your audience as much as you can, and then eventually they're just gonna want your help implementing it. Another way to really help with this is by sharing your story and sharing it frequently. Constantly bringing up your story and where you came from is the best way to connect to people who are on the same path. By not just sharing your wins, but also your failures and the silver linings that helped you get to the position that you are. That vulnerability builds a level of trust that they don't get from a lot of other people who are just flexing their Lambos and telling you how to make $1 million overnight. So just be vulnerable and show the context for how you got to where you are. Next, you really need to show the transformation. It's great to show where you started and where you're at so that people can connect the dots. If people can see that they're starting in a similar position as you, then you are the best person to coach them. And so if you can show that, they're much more likely to be invested into your brand. And if you can visually embody that transformation that they want, they're so much more likely to buy from you. And then number 5 is just making strategic offers. And once you've gone through all these stages, you know who you're speaking to, you've built the type of content that's gonna connect with them, and you've started to build trust, they are so much more likely to buy. And just remember that personal branding is just building trust at scale. It's just like connecting with a friend face to face, just with thousands of people over the internet. And so if you found this helpful and you want any help building your personal brand, there's a link below to my 30-day brand launch sprint. It's a 30-day focus checklist to help you build your brand and install the content system to amplify it. We're currently onboarding creators, so if you want to check it out, click the link below, and I hope to see you inside. And if you want more content like this, then you can hit the subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.